Welcome, everyone, to the UFC 216 six-round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, Eddie Mercado. Both of us over here from BuddyElbow.com to recap all the results from tonight's pay-per-view card. And what a fantastic night of fights, man.
Sub City, how about that? Four submissions on the main card? Are you kidding me? Absolutely worth every penny spent on the pay-per-view, I gotta say. Complete just awesomeness.
I mean, and that's the thing, is that, Harris, like, when that was made at the last minute, honestly, that was seriously nice to me. Like, that was a fight I got to look forward to. You knew Werdum could easily wrap it up in an instant, or Harris had, like, a chance to pull off a miracle, basically. And then for Borella, Faria to not suck and to just, like, fly by, that otherwise you got three great fights on the pay-per-view card and, two fights that could have been terrible that went really well. So
yeah, absolutely. I was super happy with it. It looked good on paper. This was one of those where you expect it to do well, but usually it probably won't. But damn it, everyone did what they were supposed to do. Everybody showed up. I mean, I was super happy. And shout out to Walt Harris for stepping up and fighting the UFC's former heavyweight champion. Like, that takes balls.
Yeah, I was hoping magic would happen. I really was. I was, Harris, he's gotten sharper on the counters. Werdum loves to throw his chin out there when he rushes in. I was hoping for that sweet magic moment, but it didn't happen.
You know what, man? Werdum is one of those guys that I just never really rooted for.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is about him. It might have just been all those old school flops that he used to do whenever he fought someone that can hit hard. I think it just kind of I have the stigma towards him where I kind of want to see him get knocked out all the time. And I feel kind of bad about it, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, other than Magic briefly dying in that moment, rest of the card, really magical. Start off at the top. Tony Ferguson submits Kevin Lee. And, when you actually saw Lee step into the event tonight, you really realized how badly the deck was stacked against him. Like, this was a bad matchup from the start. Just on paper, seemed like a fight he wasn't going to win. Then his weight cut went terribly, and he looked like death getting to the scales, and he missed weight, and then he had to re-weigh in and all that. And then you see him show up too, and he looks like he's got a staph infection. And you're just like, man.
Not to mention there was a mass shooting in his home city this week. Like, what? Definitely the deck stacked against him. But you know what? Kudos to him, though, in his post-fight speech. Like, he told us what was going on. Joe Rogan asked him about the staph infection, but he was like, Ferguson was still the better man. Yeah. So, good on him for showing some class.
And to his credit, too, he fought really well. Like, he came out, he put it on Ferguson in round one. He led the exchanges. He stayed creative. He stayed on Ferguson. He got takedowns, and he got takedowns all fight.
Yeah, even when he was tired.
Yeah.
Like, he comes out dead tired in the third and still got the takedown. That showed some heart.
And even in round two, when Ferguson was starting to take over and be busier, Lee kept throwing counters when Ferguson stepped in, kept finding little ways to, like, Ferguson never looked like he got really comfortable in that fight, I would say. Like, he won it. He took over as it went on. He got taken down, and he got he set up the triangle beautifully and all that. But he never looked as flowy and, like, natural and comfortable as he did against RDA, where he was just kind of able to, like, move around and do what he wanted. Every time he started to do that a little bit, Lee would pop him or take him down. And so putting together, it was a game plan that tired him, but it was a game plan that kept him really competitive as long as the fight went.
Yeah, it was pretty competitive. And Ferguson wasn't as comfortable as he normally is, but he definitely started loosening up there at the second. And by the third, he was just well aware of the cardio discrepancy.
Yeah.
And once he knew that, then he just started going right at, like, he was even talking shit to Kevin before the third round even started. He like looked at him and was like, "This is my mat, not yours." And it was like right then you kind of knew that the end was
Oh yeah,
pretty
you
near.
can see the end approaching. It was nice that, when Ferguson tried to wade in on him in round 3, Lee just took him down. Like he found ways to keep Ferguson from just absolutely opening up on him at any point. There was no point where Ferguson was just like, going out and putting work on him. It was always a competitive fight as long as it lasted.
How about Kevin Lee escaping that arm bar? Holy shit. He was dead to rights in that. I mean, granted, he escaped just to get triangled, but still getting out of that arm bar was intense.
His top control and positional grappling and strength on the ground is seriously not to be messed with. Like he doesn't have the ridiculous over the top speed that goes with someone like Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is just ridiculously fast as well as being strong and positionally a amazing grappler and wrestler. But he has that same kind of strength and power and ability to make guys, really pay for giving him position. And he showed it in this fight. For as long as his cardio held up, he was able to lock down positions on Ferguson and stay safe, even while Ferguson was trying to get creative.
Yeah, good. And so much upside for Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as he remains focused, I know he's going to come back so much stronger from this, and he'll be a force.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's only 25, so
yeah,
even if he's been fighting since 2012, he's only been fighting 5 years. He's only 25. He's got plenty of room to grow in this sport still. Co-main event on the other hand, Demetrious Johnson just absolutely sunned Ray Borg.
Wow, that was insane. Not only was that like a 5-round shellacking, but my dude finished up with the most insane armbar I've ever seen. Like he scoops up dude like he's gonna slam him and just lets him free fall. And as Borg is free falling, DJ jumps into an armbar position and just goes for it and fucking gets it. Like,
well, Matt Hume was over there. He's like up, down, left, right, triangle, square, circle, start, select, and Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Hume had been going for that one all night, but he just kept like getting the wrong rhythm on the start select at the end. Couldn't quite hit him in combination. Then he got the buttons right, and DJ just can't mess with the finishing move like that.
Nah, it was the correct the screen went black. It said finish him, and he did the damn thing. Like, that is insane. I cannot believe I saw that in a UFC title fight. Like I'm still like struggling to wrap my head around that. It was beautiful.
It was really pretty. It was gorgeous, and and it's great to see because it's a fight that Johnson was dominating positionally all fight and wearing Borg down with positional control all fight. And it's just like at some point Borg is going to give up something, but he never quite got there. And then suddenly DJ's just like, well, if you're not going to give it to me, I'll just take it.
Oh man, it was so beautiful. And it like almost overshadows how dominant DJ was in this fight. I mean, he was every single position. DJ had some sort of powerful strike that he knew of that was going to land perfectly and do the damage. And he knew exactly when to transition to the next move. And it's just so seamless and beautiful. And he's always in control. He's never flustered. And holy shit. Remember when he took the back and like kicked Borg in the head? It might have missed, but it still looked cool.
Yeah. Well, there was also a moment too, like where he threw a body kick and Borg caught the kick, and then DJ somehow ended up on Borg's back as Borg rushed him, and it's just like, how do you even do that? How do you end up on somebody's back when they catch your body kick? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I'm sure Borg knew he was in for a long night when he took the back early standing.
Yeah.
And DJ's just like, nah, bro. And like shimmied him off and then sat down on him. It was just a complete a clinic.
Yeah. Like, it was gorgeous. I knew Borg was in for trouble the moment that he started getting tagged a little at range and decided that he had to push for the clinch. Because it's just like, you might have been able to compete with Johnson for speed out at range for a little while. But if you take away your speed edge, if you just give him, say, okay, I'm not going to be faster than you, I'm just going to be in the clinch and we'll be the same, then all you're doing is betting that you're more technical than Demetrious Johnson at that point.
Which obviously was far from the case. Although Borg, he was surviving pretty damn well, and he never gave up, and he was getting takedowns late.
Oh, yeah.
DJ is next level shit, like, period. There is nobody on his level. Nobody. Yeah.
The nice thing is that Borg's young enough. He's a great enough athlete. He's crazy enough that my guess is this just becomes inspiration. This is like that setback that says, all right, I got to go back and I got to work harder. I've got to do everything better and I've got to attack more because I've got to be better. I have to beat this guy when I face him again in 3 years. And DJ might not even be here in 3 years, but you know, you got to have that Cejudo mentality where when you're not the best guy in the world, you're just constantly working all the time.
Yeah, Borg definitely has the tools, definitely has the potential, but he really needs to find more confidence in his other tools and not just bail on his striking altogether and try to take down Demetrious Johnson.
Yeah, that was too bad to see because Johnson, you know, I mean, he's a very good striker, but he's not a knockout artist there. And Borg wasn't competing in tight, but he could not stop himself from saying, this is my only path to victory. So
amazing, though. Amazing.
Yeah. Then we get to the bout before that, the heavyweight fight, Fabricio Werdum, Walt Harris. I like I said, I really wanted to see magic happen. I was just thinking, like, I honestly thought this might be kind of a tougher matchup for Werdum than Derek Lewis, just because Lewis doesn't counter really and is so inactive for long stretches. Like he just, you know, he's waiting and waiting and waiting for opportunities to burst forward, and he's hugely powerful when he does. But I thought Harris could be a little more active, is better on the counter, isn't as powerful, but
a much better technical combination striker.
Yeah,
Harris is much better than Lewis.
Have a little more technique in there. And now it makes me wonder, like, did we see what Werdum would have done to Lewis anyway? Is this Werdum being the bully? Because, I mean, Werdum does have a very bully mentality when he fights. He wants to go out there and he wants to just impose himself on you and prove he's better than you and that you can't get the best of him. And so was this just like, oh, well, this no-name kid is stepping on short notice, so I can just go out there and run house on him? Or, you know, would he have had that same game plan, that same mentality fighting Lewis? That makes me...
Probably so, just because, I mean, Lewis's ground game is nothing to write home about. So why not? It's untested. Like, why not? We've seen him getting taken down before, and you know, his only real take up or get up is just the aggro, force the guy off of you and kind of just stand up.
Yeah.
And, you know, that works, but it also will not work against certain technical guys who know how to counter whatever bullshit strongman move you're trying to do to get them off. Yeah. So, yeah, he probably would have done the same thing to Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
But a minute and 5 seconds, it didn't last very long.
No, it didn't. He hit that low single, or not the low single even, but just the single leg. And that's the thing. It like, there's a certain, you know, there are certain skills that are still deeply lacking in heavyweight MMA, and wrestling defense, really in a lot of like good technical shot wrestling, is just not there. And Harris does not appear to have picked up that lesson. So.
Yeah, but kudos for Harris for stepping up on super short notice. And I really hope he got a big payday for this, because he got snubbed in his last couple of fights with the Performance of the Nights when he had spectacular knockouts. So hopefully they threw some PPV points at him and a nice little payday.
Yeah, or at least a backroom bonus or something. Although on the flip side, I think Harris probably, you know, begged for this fight the moment he heard that he might be able to. The moment he heard Lewis went down, I bet he went out and said, I'll take it.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome, but it may mean that enthusiasm got, you know,
hurt the pockets.
Didn't get any money for it.
Hey.
Before that, Mara Romero Borella fought Kalindra Faria. This seemed a little bit like it was going to be a setup to get Faria, a win on her way in, a solid veteran who's been around a lot, competed with some other top names, had a known veteran out there, and Borella kind of more she had one fight in Invicta and is otherwise pretty unknown, lost to the best fighters she's faced, which Faria has too, but, for Borella, that's losing to people like Anna Elmos. Borella just ran over her. Just went out, took her down, transitioned to mount, got the back, choked her out, done.
It was a clinic, a straight clinic. Another submission on the night, which is super awesome. And, I mean, we didn't get to see too much because it didn't really last too long. But Faria really had no moments in this whatsoever. She got stunted on. And tough outing, tough debut for her. But Borella, sweet. We got someone at 125 that we can make a little noise about.
Yeah, it's good to see for Borella too, because even though she's not that young, she's like 31. She's only been fighting for a couple of years, and she's fought a ton in those couple of years. She's fought like 15 times in 3 years.
That's crazy. Holy shit.
Yeah, she's got a surprisingly deep record, 12-4-1, starting in 2014. And so if she can keep improving rapidly, she's big and she's strong and she's obviously a good athlete. So, it's good to see that kind of step up from her last fight, which was pretty uninspiring split decision win over former UFC fighter Milana Dudieva.
And she has a gnarly ass war cry, which I love.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the war cries.
Before that, our second of 2 draws on the night, opening the pay-per-view card, Beneil Dariush versus Evan Dunham at lightweight.
Crazy.
Yeah. I thought, and I feel like Dariush did what I thought he would, which is that he had the reads on Dunham. He knew how Dunham's offense worked. He came out with the right plan. Absolutely styled on him in round 1. But you cannot underestimate the pace that Dunham can keep.
Yeah, you have to put him away in that first, or you're going to be petered out. Evan Dunham Homer Simpson's his way into fights more than anybody I can think of. Like it's really impressive. It's like almost on the Darren Elkins level. It's impressive, and I'm okay with the decision. I'm down with the draw. I think the first round was 10-8. Dariush with those standing elbows, they were so vicious to the point where, Dunham willingly took a knee, and that's like shit you see in sparring. Like you don't really see that in fights. So those really had to have hurt him, and the referee could have stopped the fight too, probably, but Dunham's tough as a motherfucker.
Yeah,
like man, that is a long day. No one wants to fight Evan Dunham.
Yeah, I mean that. I talked about this last time. Last time Rick Glenn fought, it's just like, unless you're Evan Dunham, do not fight Rick Glenn in his own game of trying to out-tough Rick Glenn.
Yeah,
but Dunham is one of the dudes that can do it and just match for pace and toughness and go out there. And, I thought the last round was a toss-up. I could have seen giving it to Dariush. I think one of the judges did. But I got no problem with the draw at all. So, great performance for Dunham to fight his way back into that fight. And tough for Dariush.
I thought it was great for Dariush, though, the way he was able to fight through fatigue and still throw heat and still push the pace, even though he was dead tired come the second round, like dead tired.
It gives me continual concern for Dariush as a top-level lightweight, that it seems like while all the technical and the mental game is all there are just a few elite physical tools that are never going to lock into place for him, whether it's, his chin against Barboza, where
that would have knocked anybody out.
It would have knocked anybody out, but it's also, Barboza was faster all fight, and the moment Dariush loses a half step, that speed just caught him. Or if it's Dunham, where, the cardio is that like it's a great to see Dariush fight through it, but if you're talking about an elite like 5-round fight against somebody like Tony Ferguson or something like that, you can't be fading like that.
Yeah, but some of that could just be that maybe he was convinced that he was going to finish Dunham there in the first.
Sure.
And maybe that's a lesson to take away from this is, maybe when you're fighting Evan Dunham, he's not done until he's done.
Yeah, it's interesting to see for a fighter like Dariush, who I really do think has most of the technical tools and the mental game really on point. Like, he seems to come in really well prepared for everyone, has a pressure-driven power striking style that can put people away, is a great wrestler and a great grappler, but athletically just a half step off the elite.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this is a game where athleticism counts for a lot.
Oh, yeah. Counts for a hell of a lot. Speaking of which, Cody Stamann, Tom Duquesnoy, and this is, I've been as high on Duquesnoy as anyone. This is our wake-up call for everyone that Fire Kid's
stop a blast double.
he's got to adjust to some things, and part of it's wrestling defense. That I thought Williams in that fight, in his last fight, like Patrick Williams shot really highly technical takedowns on Duquesnoy that most fighters can't easily replicate. Turning corners, picking an ankle while you're going for the double leg, stuff like that. I didn't think Stamann could replicate that. He didn't, but he didn't have to either, and that's trouble.
Yeah, it's almost as if Duquesnoy was just pushing a pace he couldn't sustain. And because, he had Stamann backing the fuck up like religiously and tagging him with all sorts of things at such a frenetic pace that come around 3, like it slowed substantially. And I don't know if that's just letting it all go early or were the takedowns that much that it zapped him trying to get back to his feet.
It could have been that. I think also really underrated is the body kicks that Stamann was landing all fight. He landed some hard kicks to Duquesnoy's liver and front kicks to the body and things like that in the first couple of rounds that I think Duquesnoy may not have been braced for with his pressure style, just kind of walked right into. And I feel like Duquesnoy was leaning a little over his ribs as the fight went on. I think that could have sapped his strength a little. The other thing is, then this is the bigger concern, I think, for Duquesnoy fans, is that he's just not the strongest athlete in the world. Like, he's dynamic. He is able to close distance really well. He's tough. He's fast. But the actual just, like, core horsepower strength may not be there. And when he's pushing a pressure style that relies heavily on his ability to control the clinch game, to just walk people into the clinch, and when you get the clinch, be able to turn, dominate there, technically turn guys, into elbows, into knees and all that. And he walked Stamann right into the clinch, and Stamann just shoved him off, landed shots, forced him back out at range. And I think without the ability to find the clinch and control the clinch, Duquesnoy was just kind of like, wow, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't just walk in and pressure this guy because I can't control the clinch when I get there. And I think that was also a big part of why he may have taken his foot off the gas. May have been partially being tired, may have partially been body work wearing him down, and it may just have been that his game doesn't function very well when he can't walk right all the way inside.
Yeah, he was doing well in the first round when his output is so high.
Yeah,
he does well then, but it's almost, and it kind of sort of almost looked like he ran out of things to throw. Like, he unleashed his entire arsenal over the course of 1.5 rounds, and then once Stamann hit that blast double there at the midpoint in the second round, it was like it all vanished.
Yeah. It was a weird performance, and it's a performance that, Duquesnoy has to account for as, somebody people were hailing as the top prospect in the sport for a while. He's got to figure it out because Stamann's solid, but he's also kind of solid in the way that, like, any reasonably solid rising UFC fighter is going to be solid. Good wrestler, good striker,
tough,
but not like some amazing technical marvel standing. He's got a great blast double, better even than I gave him credit for, but it's not like highly technical wrestling. And he, when Duquesnoy was fresh, he couldn't hold him down. He's not some grappling marvel. He's just a really solid, well-rounded, powerful fighter. And Duquesnoy wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, it was. And it's crazy because Duquesnoy was such a favorite going into this, and he looked like that in the first round, and then he just really let this fight slip away from him.
Yeah,
like it was kind of weird to see. I don't know. This raises red flags for Duquesnoy. Actually,
it does. It's one thing to lose submissions as a hot prospect, where you just you fight some really aggressive grappler who's bigger than you and you get caught in a random armbar or a triangle or a guillotine. Jose Aldo had those kinds of losses. Cyborg has one of those.
Anderson
JDS.
Silva.
Anderson Silva. Like, tons of guys have those kind of losses. But when you're losing decisions to dudes, that's a little more of a red flag. It's a little more of a how good is the guy that you lost to? Why are you, if you're going to be the next superstar of the sport, why are you dropping rounds to this guy? It's still, we've seen fighters get, hit whole new levels from there. TJ Dillashaw dropping, a fight to Rafael Asunciao that he would never lose now. And, stuff like that. You see it. It's not unimaginable that he won't get, continue to improve a lot, and he probably will, but it's a concern. Before that, Lando Vannata, Bobby Green, first draw of the night, and this was just a war.
Candidate for fight of the year.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Both of these guys left everything out there. I thought Bobby Green was done in the first round. I thought he was looking for a way out. I legit thought he was trying to get submitted or trying to just take his TKO, take his check, and go home. But damn, Vannata screwed the fucking pooch. He shot himself in the foot. He's winning it. He's got his opponent dead to rights. The referee's just about to stop it. And what does he do? Oh, he throws an illegal blow to a downed opponent.
Yep.
Loses a point, lets Bobby Green back in the fight, and then all-out war ensued.
Hilariously, Rogan tried to go into this whole, that's not illegal because it hit, the thigh hit him and not the knee. It's like, you can't kick a downed guy either. Like,
if you strike a downed opponent with your leg, it's illegal. Period.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's the knee or the foot or the shin or the thigh. You can't swing your leg at a guy with his head on the ground and hit him in the head while he's on the ground.
Yeah, and credit to Daniel Cormier for calling Rogan out on the bullshit. He's like, get out of here with that. Like, you're just being that guy at this point. But what
otherwise, I feel a little bad for Vannata because this was a great show of heart for Green, a great win for Green, because in the first round, this fight went a lot like I thought it would, with Green on his back foot looking for counters, giving Vannata all kind of space to be creative and just pull out whatever he wanted. And then Green started sticking to a jab. He started sticking to a really fundamental, process-based offensive game to lead and take over rounds as the fight went on. And, so I thought that was really strong from Green. But for Vannata, I'm feeling a little bad because it's kind of like this hot prospect that's getting brought up by fighting all only really tough top seasoned vets through the UFC,
Yeah, it's
you're a really flashy you're a really flashy striker who lacks some of the core fundamentals that makes for a defensively sound, responsible striking game. Let's just throw you at a bunch of seasoned vets who've got a bunch of striking fundamentals and see what happens. And what's happening is that he's dropping close fights.
That's what happens when you show up damn well against your fight with Tony Ferguson on short notice.
Yep.
You know, you get no easy fights after that.
Yeah, I mean, even like his win against John McDessie, who was a little shop worn at this point, like that's a great win, and it's also a little like, you know, McDessie's not the easiest fight in the world. It was a come down from Ferguson, but it wasn't. It was basically just a chance to repump the juice into Vannata and be like, okay, now fight David Tamor, another guy nobody knows who is all core kickboxing fundamentals, and you're gonna just go out and have a kickboxing match with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they're putting him in there with strikers. Like, I don't want to see Vannata defending takedowns the whole time. I'm good on that. I want to see him being fun on the feet because that's what he is. He's dynamic and crafty and slick and smooth and groovy, and just the dude can throw down. He really screwed himself in this fight. Like he had this in the bag, and you know, you can't do that. Growing pains, I guess.
Yeah, it's growing pains. It's just it's the toughest route to grow because he's taken a whole bunch of damage doing it too. You know?
That's the tough
part. He
got
dialed up with jabs. His face, he looked like he was going to rob a fucking stagecoach out there. Dude had like a red bandana over his mouth.
Oh, man. It was bad. And those jabs, though, those jabs and crosses were just straight and on point. And Green was really leaping into him. Like, he was really putting his weight behind those. But damn, down the stretch, it was so exciting. Just when I thought Vannata was taking it away, and in the last 30 seconds, he's really pouring it on. And then Green comes out of nowhere with like this 8-piece combo and just leaves Vannata staggered as the final bell sounded. Like, so awesome, so awesome.
Really great to see, and I hope that the UFC can, you know, find some more fun striking matchups for Vannata that are a little like the Abel Trujillo fight. That felt like a really solid matchup for Vannata to show some things and develop and get his game going a little better. The Green fight, you know, I mean, Bobby Green, I thought he would win this too, Vannata, but Green's a long-time dangerous vet who is...
Yeah, but Green hasn't won a fight since 2014, and that was against Josh Thompson, and it was a split decision. So, I mean, Green had a lot of canceled fights, and like
I know. It seemed like a kind matchup too going in. I'm just saying that the UFC has to figure out what they have in Lando Vannata and if it's important to them, because the dude's, you know...
Well, maybe this was the UFC seeing what they had in Bobby Green. It's like, let's put him against, you know, Lando Vannata, who isn't proven, still dangerous and tough, and will fight you on the feet. Like, are you done, Bobby? Like, do we need to cut you, or are you going to stick around for a little longer? And I think he's going to stick around for a little longer.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this might have been more about Bobby, just because he's been around longer, he's been ranked. I don't know if he's a draw. I mean, probably not. I have no idea.
No, but whatever. I'm a little worried about the UFC's disinterest in building anyone. Makes me feel like they could just run Vannata out of the organization on a string of losses to really solid veteran fighters.
Well, there is a booming organization called Bellator that would be more than glad to scoop up Vannata and put him in exciting fights.
It's true. All right, before that, Poliana Botelho fought
Pearl Gonzalez.
This fight was so terrible. I am trying to block it from memory. Gonzalez had the feeling that despite not really having... I mean... talked about this a few times now, that I think that there's something like it. I think the problem with women's wrestling in MMA is a structural, like physical thing where getting the leg drive to get your hips down on a takedown is just really difficult. She's bending at the waist a bunch. She can't get her hips low enough. And then every time she does get her hips low enough, her knee hits the ground and she takes all the power out of her shot, and she just can't find that mid-level where you're low and you're driving through and you're turning the corner. But being unable to do that, she had no other plan in this fight than trying to do that.
Yeah, it's almost as if she thought that the year was 2003 and she could win a fight by just wall installing people, even if they are striking with their back to the cage. Because that was how it used to roll back in the day. Like, you could win a fight by not landing any strikes and just controlling your opponent. And I'm really glad to see that it really has changed and reversed. And you can be in a defensive position and still get off some offense, and they're still effective. Those Travis Brown elbows are vicious. Like, they're no fun.
And some complete lack of credit has to go to Gonzalez's corner too, which really instilled this idea of the fight to her after round 1, where all she did is stall and get elbowed in the head, and they're like, great round, just do that, you're winning. And it's just like, no.
Yeah, I don't know. If your opponent is outscoring you that badly with strikes, you shouldn't expect to win a decision.
Yeah.
Like, that's asinine. Like,
so, fight sucked. I'm interested to see what Botelho can do. She's really seriously wild and unstructured, as was shown every time she got a few feet to work on anything. She just kind of threw random offense until Gonzalez could clinch her up again. Yeah. But
she's built, though. She's definitely built for strawweight.
She's a hell of an athlete, and she's powerful. So, given more time to develop, some more years of experience under her belt, she could turn into something, and she's got a win to start her UFC career out. So, should be interesting. Usually that kind of guarantees that she'll get at least like 4 fights in the organization
especially in strawweight.
Yeah. Before that, Matt Schnell beat Marco Beltran. Solid, low simmer of a fight. Never really got going. Former sparring partners who kind of fought like former sparring partners.
Yeah. They fought like former sparring partners who had like already ingrained the specific techniques they wanted to work in that sparring session, right? So Beltran's like, I'm going to come out working my kicks. And Schnell's like, okay, I'm going to come out and work my combination boxing. Okay, and then that's just kind of what it was for 3 rounds.
Yeah, credit to Schnell. He gets a win that he needed really badly. His chin has been a problem, and him staying safe and just kind of sticking to boxing from the outside, showing combinations, ducking in and out of range. That's fine. Beltran, I really just don't feel like flyweight makes any sense for him at all. How tall is he? He's 5'8". And he, looked gassed like he did in his first fight. He didn't fight nearly at the pace he did in his first flyweight fight either. But he also just looked slow at range. Like, he was a pretty fast bantamweight out there, kind of hopping around, throwing lots of fast kicks and all that. And at flyweight, he just kind of looked slow and clunky on the outside, where, Schnell could see all his kicks coming, could see his hands coming every time, and he could never close him down or make any sense of the range. And I don't think that 125 makes any sense for him.
Yeah, but that's his kicking based style. Like, moving down and fighting faster guys, that's gonna pose a problem, especially when you're not setting up your kicks whatsoever. Yeah. Like, you're going out there throwing solo kicks against faster people. And this was such a weird fight because, Beltran's trying to land his kicks, staying at range, and Schnell had beautiful boxing combinations through rounds 1 and 2, but they weren't exactly landing. They were like just short. Like, he just couldn't reach his target. And then by round 3, all of those combinations had disappeared, and he was rendered a one-off striker at that point. So, like you said, kind of a simmer of a fight. Still entertaining. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But, it happened.
For that, however, John Moraga announcing to the flyweight division and to Magomed Bibulatov that there are levels to this game, as they said, as Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier said of Fabricio Werdum versus Walt Harris. This had that feeling as well. They were talking up like, Rogan was like, Mark Henry says Magomed Bibulatov has the perfect striking for MMA. It's like, well, not that perfect.
You got knocked the fuck out. Holy shit. John Moraga comes out to Bone Thugs and Harmony, Thuggish Ruggish Bone, automatic brownie points, automatic nostalgia, goes out there and just he lands like a street fight left hook. Like some World Star hip hop from the hip left hook and just cleaned Bibulatov's clock. Like he fell out back.
If you actually look at the slow motion GIF of it, you find the replay, you can see he actually reaches into his back pocket, pulls out the roll of quarters, and then hits him like all in one smooth motion.
Yeah, it was the Thuggish Ruggish Bone. That was so incredible. And good on John Moraga.
Yeah.
Like the dude is such a veteran, and he's always like in these weird, he's either fighting nobodies or he's fighting like legit ass people. So it's nice to see him knock out. I'm not saying Bibulatov's a nobody, but he isn't exactly proven yet. So
no, he's a hot prospect. He's a Kadyrov henchman. He's one of the, a hot prospect Caucasus fighters coming out there with all the sambo, all the wrestling, all the grappling, just looking like a brick shit house. And Moraga just starched him.
Yeah, and then he gets on the microphone post-fight speech. Daniel Cormier is trying to interview him, and he's just like, I suck at interviews. I'm not trying to do this. I'm trying to go home.
Yeah.
Like DC was trying his best to get him to open up, and
I don't know if somebody else mentioned that, after the whole tragedy that happened in Vegas recently, like maybe that just really put things in perspective for him. I think it did for a lot of fighters. Okay, and it looked like he was doing everything he could just to not break down on camera. Like he was just like biting it back, really just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be interviewed. I suck at this. Just the whole time, it's kind of
like DC, get the fuck out of my face. I'm trying to go home. Give me my check.
I don't want to cry in front of people. I'm really going through some things now.
It's like, look, DC, I know you're comfortable crying in front of 90,000 people, but me, nah, bro.
Hey, as we see with DC and Kevin Lee, you can cry. It's all right.
Hey, and good on Daniel Cormier for sticking up for Kevin Lee.
Well,
Joe Rogan tried to call him out. Oh, look at Kevin Lee crying like a little bitch in the middle of the octagon. He didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he was doing. And DC's like, hold on, buddy. Like when something means this much to you, you do, you show emotion. It's part of caring.
Yeah. So. And like I say, DC, he's got to go out there and stand up for the dude on that. Like he couldn't be out there being like saying nothing like, oh no, yeah, you just rag on that dude for crying. That's fine.
Yeah, he's the poster boy for those that cry.
For that, opening up the card, Brad Tavares.
Speaking of crying, fuck this fight. Sorry.
Brad Tavares, Dallas Latis. Such a Brad Tavares win, honestly. Like, it was a unanimous decision, wasn't a split, so it wasn't quite the picturesque Brad Tavares win. But it's so much
like the picturesque Dallas Latis loss.
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing kickboxing out here?
And it's just so the Brad Tavares way to fight, where it's like, you clearly have the guy outclassed. You've got him totally limited to your game specifically, and you're just going to coast out a win that nobody cares about at all.
Yeah. Tavares is in that category with Rafael Natal and Yushin Okami. It's like you're advertised as this Ray Sefo trained badass kickboxer, but you're not knocking anybody out. Like, who's the last guy he knocked out in all seriousness?
He has
it was Phil Baroni.
In UFC, and
Phil Baroni, UFC 25 in 2011. Since then, he's done nothing but pick up decisions.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that.
And unfortunately, too, like before the fight, Rogan was trying to be like, well, he's this young guy. He's still developing, just 29. It's been like, okay, not only is he a decade into his fight career at this point as a pro, he's been in the UFC for 7 years. You have watched this guy for 7 years. At some point, you can't push the Like, he's just a young kid about to show his best stuff. He's the fighter he is.
Yeah, he is who he is and will continue to be so. But he is on a 3-fight winning streak.
Oh, he's good. He's not a bad fighter. He's just not a fighter that makes you care about his fights.
No, completely lacks pizzazz in everywhere. Like, he's not good on the mic. He doesn't talk shit. He's not dynamic with, he's not stunting on people. He's just kind of like a guy.
I will say he seems, at least on social media, he seems like a nice dude. Cares about football a lot.
Oh, I'm sure he's a great guy. You know, I'm sure a lot of them are great guys. But they're not getting me tuning in.
Yeah. All right, back up to the top. Ferguson, interim lightweight title. Is he effectively the real champ now? I mean,
for sure, 100%, 150%. Like, who's better than Tony Ferguson? Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, Conor McGregor's got shit to prove. Like, whether or not there are lots of legit Conor McGregor fans out there. I know I know you didn't all start watching MMA like 2 years ago, but whether you are totally of the belief that Conor McGregor is the best lightweight in the world right now or not, he's got some shit to prove at lightweight.
He definitely has some shit to prove. But if I'm Conor, I'm not taking a pay cut to fight Tony Ferguson. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Nah. That dude's too funky, too many elbows and weirdness, and is too good with submissions, and he's too much of a winner. He's just a winner. And I'm not saying Conor can't knock his ass the fuck out, because he definitely can. Like, Ferguson's funk has gotten him in trouble. It will get him in trouble again. But I feel like Ferguson has way more avenues to win that fight, and that's just real shit. So yes, in my opinion, Ferguson is the real champion.
He's certainly the champion that seems most likely to defend a belt.
Definitely a real champion, will defend a belt. And he didn't screw up his post-fight interview. He had the chance to call out Conor, and he did it in a way that didn't make me cringe, and that is a huge win for Tony Ferguson.
The Conor McNuggets, where the fuck you at, motherfucker? Where the fuck you at, you piece of shit?
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, like, that is way better than a lot of the things Tony Ferguson has said in the past. So
it's true.
Maybe he hired like
a where your kids at, Conor? Where your kids at?
Yeah, so maybe he hired somebody to help him out in that department.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, otherwise, Demetrious Johnson, I feel like he's starting to get a little fan support here. People are apparently chanting Mighty Mouse in the crowd.
Dude,
not
after that
as many people were talking shit about how boring he was.
I still can't believe I saw that.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I've seen something similar in a jiu-jitsu match but the dude was already laying down, and he kind of just jumped from standing guard into the armbar. But this was like next level shit. And on Ray Borg, who's a phenomenal grappler.
Yeah.
Man, it's so hard to believe. Like, I'm still like in shock, kind of.
So he's got his record now. Do you think there's any chance that Garbrandt fight happens?
Garbrandt said he'd come down to 125, right?
He said he'd come down to 125. Or that DJ could come up, and DJ has said by turns it would make more sense for me to go to 135, and I don't want to fight at 135. That makes no sense to me. So I have no idea what he's really working on here.
Hopefully he just goes where the money is and just fights. Now that he has the title and a little more fan support and some respect, I hope he chases paychecks and just fights whoever. Like, he's got nothing else to prove, in my opinion. He's the greatest to do it. The only flyweight champion. The fucking shit he pulled off tonight was intense after a complete domination. Like, he needs to get himself into a boxing match or something. Like, get this man paid. I don't care who I don't want to see him in freak shows from now on. Like, that's it.
We'll get him in Ryzen fighting Baruto.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, in the open weight Grand Prix, the motherfucker would win.
Under a waterfall. We'll get them like on top of a waterfall fighting Baruto.
Yeah, with like tigers on chains, like like 5 to 6 feet away. So if you go too far over, it's donezo. And the odds, Mighty Mouse will still be like a minus 2,000 favorite or something ridiculous like that.
You'd have the drums out and the dude in the diaper out there pounding on the drums and all that, and be awesome. Make it happen.
Man, but DJ should be in freak show fights to get big paydays because he's done it all. He cleaned out a division.
All right, on that note, you can find me on Twitter at TheZaneTime. You can find Eddie on Twitter at TheEddieMercado. You can find both of us over at BloodyElbow.com. Give us a like over on YouTube. The thumbs up thing, that helps us a ton. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, MMANation.com, DOTCOM. So you get all the latest, greatest Bloody Elbow shows, videos, news, analysis, all that good stuff we do week in, week out. We will be back next week, not for a UFC show. I'll be here with the MMA Depressed Us. We'll have Knuckle Up, If I Did It, No Care, Don't Care, Heavy Hands, all our normal shows, and then we'll be back the week after that for Cerrone versus Till, I believe.
Yes, in Poland, fight night. What is that? 119 or something?
Fight night, Gdansk, whatever. It should be a good time. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's a Fight Pass fight night. So that until then, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you soon.